How's it going, folks? Stu here. Multiverse plots have been pretty prominent in a butt ton of media at the moment. It seems like the thing to be doing right now if you're creating content. We had that Marvel series that did it. We had that Marvel film that did it. We've just had that other Marvel film that's done it. It's mainly Marvel that's doing it, innit? Marvel is all over that shit. But there is another contender. There is another option outside of the Marvelness of it all. An underdog, so to speak, who turned up and was like, hey, Marvel, you know what? I'm just gonna do what you're doing better. Come at me. I'm of course talking about Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is a lot of words to say in one go. It's out in cinemas over here on Friday. I got a chance to catch it early. I need to talk about this film. So, Everything Everywhere All at Once is the latest from filmmaking duo Daniels, which is two people called Daniel, which is, I think, incredible. Daniel Scheinert and Daniel Kwan, the filmmakers behind Swiss Army Man, which was that film where Harry Potter farted a lot and played a dead corpse. I loved that film for its creative flair and its absurdity. And from the ending of that onwards, I've been just excited to see whatever these guys were going to do next. I was a little bit scared of this being very overhyped for me and it just not living up to the expectations I'd set for myself. But after seeing it, I was absolutely not disappointed. This thing is so good on so many insane levels. It's just kind of astonishing. I loved so much about this film, I don't even know really where to start with it. I'm going to keep it very brief and say that it is just about a woman in an East Asian family that is dealing with some struggles in her life and their life that gets wrapped up in a multiverse jumping action sci-fi plot. All I'm saying. Daniel's direction as a duo is just so energetic and so ingenious pretty much consistently, and it's not a short film. This is like 2 hours and 20 minutes or something, so it's a decent runtime to have to sustain a certain level of creativity and imagination. But what struck me the most about their directing style, particularly here, which has carried over from Swiss Army Man before, is that there's just a constant barrage of new ideas, fresh, exciting stuff, and new ways of showing those ideas in a way which is just totally unique and totally refreshing. It's really non-stop in a way which would threaten to undermine a film in the hands of a director that wasn't quite as sure in their vision as Daniels are here. There's a lot to get through in pretty much every department of this film, in the thematics, in the character beats, in the world building, and in setting up the sort of sci-fi multiverse, time hopping, all of that stuff, all the mechanics of how this film works. There's just so much to get through here that I can't even imagine how difficult it was to attack this thing in the writer's room, writing it as a screenplay. But what's so consistently endearing about it and so exciting about Daniels as writers and directors is that it never drops the ball and it never really loses you, even though it kind of threatens to at multiple points. And it's no small feat as well, partly down to the fact that it weaves so many different things into it together. It's this big kind of amalgamation, this big web of different genres, of different tones. It kind of touches on basically every genre and every feeling you might want to get from a film. And each time it goes to those places, every time it gets emotional, every time it gets funny, every time it gets absurd, every time it leans into sci-fi or action or the comedy, it never derails the other things it's doing. It all works in this kind of really peculiar, shouldn't be working, but it is harmony. But another part of the reason why it's so consistently engaging and had me hooked right from the beginning is every one of the performances that's given in this thing. Now, it's led by Michelle Yeoh, who just knocks it out of the park in this one in a way which I've not seen her knock it out of the park from like this before. It's absolutely one of those roles where A, she just clearly gives it her all and is having a hoot of a time with this character, and B, in a way which is reflective of the tone of the film as well, is allowed to go to so many different places with that character that it's just consistently refreshing and surprising. She's very funny in the film. She kicks a whole lot of fucking ass in the film, that's for sure. And by the end of this thing is just an incredibly well-rounded and fleshed out character that you genuinely care about and which lands a lot of the emotion this film's going for. She's so good. But one of my other absolute standouts performance-wise has to be Ki-Hu Kwan, Data from Goonies, Short Round from Indiana Jones. He's back in a big acting role here, and my God, this dude kills it. I loved watching him on screen. Everything he was doing in every scene put a huge beaming smile on my face. And again, this role gives him the opportunity to do some things which I just didn't know he had in him as an actor. And I'm aware that part of that does come down to the fact that the last time I saw him in a film, he was a tiny boy in the Goonies and in Indiana Jones Temple of Doom. So yeah, obviously he grew up. But I just love that he's come back and just fucking been like, hey, you know what? I'm awesome. So you're just gonna have to fucking deal with that. And I really loved his and Michelle Yeoh's character in the film, their relationship, and the way that the different multiverses give their characters and their relationship different dynamics to work with. It must just be a really satisfying and fun role to do as actors. It's also really fun as well to just watch them kick ass. And they do a lot of it. The action in this film is insanely satisfying. What I love about the action in this film is that it's constantly evolving and changing, and that's with the characters as they're learning things and developing through the film. But it's also, again, one of the luxuries it's afforded by having your film set in so many different universes that all have their different qualities and aspects in them. You can throw them all together and you can do different things, and you can get playful in the way your action's constructed and the way that fight scenes go down. And again, to bring Marvel back into it. Sorry to have to do it, guys, but one of my biggest problems with Marvel, especially with their multiverse stuff at the moment, is that they have this opportunity to do anything they want. A multiverse gives you quite literally infinite possibilities. Your only limit really is your imagination in what you can do and what you can put on screen. But obviously in Big Mouse's world, they have to do certain things in their formulaic way because it's the big machine that it is. That's just how things are. That's how it works. Everything Everywhere All at Once is the exact exhibit, exactly what I'm talking about when I say you have given yourself a playbook to do whatever you really want. Why wouldn't you just do crazy fun shit and have fun with it? But it's also much more satisfying as an audience member to watch something and never really know what's around the corner. And I love the way that that slots in with Daniel's sort of personality, with their sense of humor. And we saw it with Swiss Army Man. They're not afraid to just do crude, dumb shit, because dumb shit can be funny. It is. And obviously, that's not going to be the same for everyone that watches this. Everyone has got their own different senses of humor, what they find funny, their own personalities. But for me, this is sort of exactly my kind of humor. And so all of the comedy just landed. I was laughing a lot through this film. Every aspect of this film does feel like it reflects that personality, which sounds obvious because that's kind of what you'd expect to happen when someone makes a film with a certain personality. Fine. But I guess I just mean like the soundtrack and the visual effects and the script and the way it's shot and all of those things, they just mesh so well to create this really unique identity of the film. I mean, the score of this thing is just really playful in that it goes to all these different places as well, which feels reflective of the fact that the film is going to all these different places in the multiverse. I love the different influences you can hear in the film, and Sonlux's work overall on the score is really great. I mean, it's a fucking huge score as well. I went to listen to this thing on Spotify afterwards because I was like, hey, there were some good songs in there. I want to listen to it. Don't know why I'm explaining why you'd want to listen to a film score after a film. You know what happens when you like it. And on Spotify, it was like, oh, cool. I don't remember there being this many tracks. Am I ever going to finish this thing? And the visuals of this thing are just consistently really playful and fun as well. The way it represents certain things and shows the sort of fracturing of different timelines is always really fun. Always looks really good as well. I'm astounded at the visual effects in this film for one reason and one reason only, and that is that there's a 5-person team that worked on it, and I think the budget was like under 30 million. It's obviously still a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of cinema at the moment is quite a low budget. And I mean, here again, Marvel, comparing it to the literal most recent Marvel film that just came out, Doctor Strange 2, which has a budget of, what, a couple of $100 million? That film doesn't look anywhere near as good as this film. It's kind of crazy, right? And it just goes to show that it doesn't really matter your budget or your scale or your scope, as long as you've got a good vision and you know how to properly implement ideas and do them well, you can make it look amazing. The film looks so good. There's also a lot of heart to the film, and I think that's another big reason why I just connected with this thing so much. I love watching films which are doing batshit things and weaving it into genuine, very real emotions, and I love the way that this film, in its story, brings it all back to this really kind of personal, small-scale family drama. But the end of this thing had me in tears. I was very moved by this thing in such a satisfying way. It never feels like a cop-out with all the crazy stuff that's going on. It feels so perfectly molded and blended in with the crazy sci-fi action stuff in the film. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen films which have just started to pile in ideas and then try and claw it back to something emotional and something poignant and have failed because they've sort of lost you. They've just done a bit too much and they don't quite know how to grasp everything and keep it all on the right track. And it's going to sound like I'm just talking hyperbole here, But it's genuinely kind of astonishing to me that this film in particular is able to be so coherent emotionally and thematically with everything that's going on in it. When you come to write a film like this or plan a film like this, when you're in pre-production, I can only imagine there are just so many moments where you're like, maybe we shouldn't do that, or maybe that's not going to work in a film, maybe we'll just cut that. No doubt there are a lot of things that didn't make it into this film, but watching Everything Everywhere All at Once feels like you're watching people that were like, you know what, let's just do it all. I absolutely loved it, and I genuinely cannot wait to watch it again, because this is again one of those films which has only got better in my mind. Like, there are many sequences in this film which are just kind of like on repeat in my head while I wait to watch it again. But what about you guys? Have you caught Everything Everywhere All at Once yet? It's been out in the States for a while now, and as I said, it's out over here in the UK on Friday. So if you've got a chance to go check it out, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments below. And of course, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see me talk about more shit, go ahead and click subscribe. Buttons down there for that. See you guys soon for some more thoughts on more films. But until next time, I'm gonna go watch Ratatouille while stuffing my face with hot dogs. That'll only make sense if you've seen the film. Unless that's something you do regularly. In which case, my guy, you might be winning.